welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first time you are joining me. It's been a little while since I made a video, and it's particularly been a little while since I made a video like this one where I randomly ramble about something that is on my brain. And I used to make these videos all the time, and I made them for two main reasons for anybody who's never seen them before and doesn't know what I'm doing here. Just in general, firstly I make them because I do find that talking out loud about the things that are on my mind is sometimes more useful to me, or like an extra step from journaling those things. It helps me to process, it helps me to articulate how I really feel about something, and I just find it really useful to do my processing out loud sometimes. And the second reason that I make this video is because I find feedback really useful when I'm trying to figure out how I feel about something, or where I stand on something, or my views about things. And so I encourage people to comment and to share their own thoughts with me, particularly if they don't agree with me. I never go into any situation about anything expecting people to agree with me. I know that, there are going to be people who hear what I say and think, no, I don't agree with that. And I want you to tell me that you don't agree, tell me why you don't agree, and maybe we can have a conversation about it. And I find that really useful. So if you're just going to come in my comments and be a dick, I'm just going to delete them. But if you're going to come in my comments and disagree with me and have an actual conversation with me about it, that's what I'm here for. So that would be good. So I guess my opening kind of like question for this video and how we got here is, there are a couple of things. Firstly, I read an article about the fear of missing out recently, and when I say recently, I could mean anything from 3 days ago to 3 years ago, just to clarify, but it was maybe a few weeks ago, about the fear of missing out in general, which got me thinking about the fear of missing out, which I'm probably just going to call FOMO from now on, in the tarot tube space, particularly because that's where I see most of my tarot content. And it kind of raised a couple of questions in me, and I think the first question was okay. I have three questions. So the first question was, why in the tarot community do we treat FOMO like it's a dirty word? My second question that I'm kind of unraveling for myself and thinking about a lot is, why are we acting like FOMO is something that is done to us by content creators? And my third question is, what if FOMO is actually trying to tell us something about our needs rather than exposing some kind of character flaw? So those are the three questions that I'm having while I'm thinking about FOMO in the tarot community. I don't feel FOMO very often, but that's not to say that I never have it. There are times when there have been decks that people have been talking about, lots of people have been talking about, and it's a limited edition Kickstarter, only happening once, and I found out about it when the Kickstarter's over and everybody already has the decks and everyone's talking about it, and that makes me feel not actually a fear of missing out, because I already have missed out, but it makes me feel like negative stuff. Or when the deck's out of print, I have the same thing. So for me, it's not really, I tend to find that I have it more when I've already missed out. It's the fear of missing out that's already happened, if that makes sense. And quite often it's because I really would have wanted that deck, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is about the emotions that are under the desire to buy. And a lot of the time that is about wanting to join in the conversation, wanting to be part of the discussion, wanting to be part of the event that is happening in the community space, particularly when lots of people are talking about the deck, or there's lots of walkthroughs and lots of reviews and lots of videos being made about it in different ways. It's being included in hauls, and people are talking about it in lives, and people are sharing their experiences with it. I want to be part of those conversations. Like, I'm here because I want to be part of the community, and I want to belong within this community to a degree. And so I want to share in that excitement, and I want to share in those conversations, and I want to feel like I'm part of the thing that's happening. And the fear isn't really of missing out on the deck. The fear is of being left out of the community aspect of that deck. That's what's really going on. That's what's really going on for me. And I would be surprised if that's not what's also going on for other people. And I will come back to that in a minute. But I also want to talk about this narrative that I keep hearing, that content creators are responsible for people feeling FOMO, that hauls are making people feel like they're missing out, that influencers are responsible for overconsumption. Now, marketing is a thing, and there is an element of marketing that relies on urgency and on scarcity, and that plays on this fear of missing out. They are things that exist within marketing. It's not the kind of marketing that I particularly like or have very warm feelings towards, but that kind of marketing exists, and it would be remiss of us to pretend that it doesn't. But is every recommendation from a content creator manipulation? I don't think it is. Is every enthusiastic review a lie, which is what is often suggested, that if people are raving about decks, they must be lying in some way? And is it actually pressure on you to then go out and get the deck? Or are creators just allowed to be excited about things? And are they allowed to just love things and talk about them because that's why they have channels in the first place? And I will say that, like, this is a side conversation, but I'm going to say it because I don't know if I've ever said it before. But this idea that when people are overly positive about something, that they must be lying, is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And this idea that if you don't like something and everybody else does, they must be all lying about liking the thing. If something's really popular and you don't like it, other people liking that thing doesn't mean those people are lying. They just have very different taste to you. My thing is TV shows, right? I didn't like Breaking Bad. I didn't like it. I watched like a season of it. I didn't really get it. I didn't really like it. I'm not really a fan of Game of Thrones. I really liked the books. I watched a couple of seasons of the show, kind of lost interest. The Walking Dead was never really my thing. Again, I watched like a season and a half. It felt like a soap opera with zombies. Wasn't really for me, so I stopped watching it. Do I think that people who love those shows, which is a very large amount of people, they're very popular, are lying when they say that they like them? No, of course I don't. That's ridiculous. I just think maybe like people have different tastes, and that's a thing. And I think it's a bit gross, actually, when you point fingers at people who give positive reviews and say those people never have anything negative to say, so they must therefore be lying. Some people just don't talk about the things they don't like on the internet, because that's just something that for them is a personal boundary that they've decided they're only ever going to talk about the things that they do like. And some people don't want to talk about negative things when they do like something, but there are things about that thing they don't like. They make the decision to only talk about the positive things because, again, a boundary for them is that they just don't want to talk about negative things online. And you don't know. You don't know whether there are lots of things that they don't like that they're not talking about. So to make the assumption that if people only ever share positive things, they are lying, is... I'm not here for that. I'm not. I think that's a bit... or that they're doing it for some nefarious reason, like so people will send them more decks or whatever. I just, like, whatever. You're entitled to think what you want, but I think that's gross. I think throwing that around like it's a fact is a bit gross. Anyway, back to the fear of missing out, because that's what we're here to talk about. I have a laptop here. I have notes on that laptop. That whole thing is not in the notes on my laptop. The notes were supposed to keep me on track. Did not work. Anyway, so I think that FOMO often is a social thing, not a material thing, is what I'm trying to say. I think that when everyone is talking about the artwork and everybody is counting down to the release of a deck and everybody's really excited about it, or, you know, or a certain number have been sent out to creators and those creators are showing those decks and walkthroughs and reviews and stuff, it becomes an event, like a community event. And I think the question then is less, do I want this deck, and more, do I want to be part of what is happening around this deck? And that quite often that's what's going on. Because I'm losing my train, because I'm also thinking in my head while I'm trying to talk, and that's my brain is running away with me. So here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to say. I think that feeling FOMO is normal, because I think that this desire to belong and to be included and to be part of something is hardwired into who we are as human beings, for survival reasons, if nothing else. We want to belong and we want to fit in, and tarot is this weird thing where it's in many ways a solitary practice or a one-on-one practice, and also a communal thing at the same time. So while our readings are often solitary, the things that we like, discussing the deck and talking about collections and talking about what we like and what we don't like and different art styles and all, you know, and card stock and guidebooks and all of this kind of stuff, is this very social community event. And we want to feel included, and to feel included we need shared reference points. And so if everybody's talking about the same thing, the same deck, it can create this desire of wanting to have that deck so that you have the same shared reference points as everybody else who's talking about that deck. So again, I think that feeling of FOMO is really normal. I also think that acting on it or doing something with it is optional. And I think that's true of all emotions. And I do think FOMO, at its core, is an emotional reaction. Not necessarily to missing out, but to not belonging. You can decide what you do with that. You can decide, I really love this deck, but I'm not going to buy it. Or you can decide, this is really just about me wanting to fit in, so I'm not going to buy the deck, and I'm going to find other ways to be part of that conversation instead, because I can still talk about the artwork and I can still talk about the layout of the guidebook with people who, and you know, and I can still talk about the themes and what it makes me feel and what it makes me think of and other decks that it might bring to mind and a million other things that don't involve me actually going out and having this deck in my possession for myself. And if it turns out that you do want the deck and you do end up buying the deck, wanting things is not a moral failing. Wanting to own things is not a moral failing. It's not irresponsible to want to own things. And going out and buying something that you've seen online that somebody else has shared does not mean that you have been manipulated by those people. So I just think we can be a little bit more compassionate about how we talk about FOMO and consumption of tarot decks, and talk less about, you know, use language that's less, I got tricked, I got manipulated, I have no self-control, that creator made me want it. We can talk about it more in terms of, I want to belong, I want to be part of something, I want to be included, I want to feel Like I have shared reference points with other people in the community that I'm choosing to be a part of. And then you can decide what you want to do with that information. You don't have to do anything with that information. You can just hold it. Or you can buy the deck, you can not buy the deck. But like what I would say is, if you go through all of that and you think, actually, you know what? Yes, I want to be part of the conversation, and yes, I want to be involved in the community event, and yes, you know, it's all very exciting, but also I just really, really want to own that deck, and you can afford the deck, then buy the fucking deck. It doesn't mean, like I said, it doesn't mean that you've somehow been manipulated into purchasing it. You're an adult. You made a decision as an adult to spend your money on something that you wanted, and you're allowed to do that, and you also don't have to justify that to complete strangers on the internet. I feel like I say that in videos quite a lot, but I feel quite strongly about that too, that, you know, you are grown-ups. If you're here, I'm going to assume that you're a grown-up. And as a grown-up, you are not required to justify your life choices, whatever they may be, to complete strangers on the internet. They can think whatever they like about what you choose to buy and what you choose to spend your money on. They can have whatever thoughts they like about that. Their thoughts about that is not your responsibility or your problem. So if you decide that actually, yes, I do want the deck and you can afford the deck, buy the deck. So where am I going with this? I don't really know, other than to say, I guess, which I've said, is that I don't think that FOMO is always a fear of missing out on owning something. I think more often than not, it's a fear of missing out on being part of something. And I don't think that the goal, at least for me, is to stop feeling it, because I don't think that that's something I have any real control over. I think the goal for me, at least, is to try and understand it, and when it comes up, just not buy into these feelings of shame and like there's something morally wrong with me because I saw a deck online and I wanted to buy it, and to not think that there's something wrong with the person who's showing me the deck online and making me want to buy it, but to just maybe take a minute and dig in and see if there's something else going on underneath that I need to be aware of, and whether, if it is about belonging and fitting in, where else I can get that feeling from and how else I can meet that need. So yeah, that's where I am with all of that. This feels really messy, but hopefully in there is a nugget of a thought piece that people can follow and make sense. Do let me know in the comments how you feel about it. If you disagree with me, great, tell me, but don't be a dick about it, because I'm not really all that interested in that. And I will try and be back soon for another one. Take care, everyone, and lots of love. Bye bye.